All right, welcome everybody to the Austin Youth Hockey All Association Zoom meeting. Just going to start things out by that this is being recorded for other members of Austin Youth Hockey that were not able to attend. So we are recording it so it can be on the website, so we can other members can watch it on a later date. One thing, we are working on pictures to be posted of board members. So in case there's some members that don't know what we all look like, we are going to be, we're working on getting those up so you can have that as a reference as well. Of course, this year being the crazy year that we're starting out with all the COVID stuff, our goal is to work as hard as we can, get this season going as normal, look as normal, feel as normal as we can. But of course, please be super patient with all of us. We're working really hard on this. Please keep an open mind that things are going to change, and hopefully it's for the better, but it could be for the worse as well. So it could be on a kind of a daily, weekly basis. So we got a lot of good things planned, a lot of new rules that we'll discuss as this meeting gets going. One other quick fact is we had a great golf tournament. So we had agreed last night at our board meeting that we're going to have mites for free this year, and if people have registered and paid, we will get all those refunds taken care of and figured all that out. So once again, that's another, please be patient with all that. We had a great golf tournament, kind of put together quick and worked out really well. If we move on to the agenda, so we're just going to go over all the board introductions, level introductions, the level overview. Dave's going to talk about the tryout procedure. We have the player and parent expectations, brief COVID overview, and all the questions that you guys have or may have. There is a chat button to ask your questions. We'll answer them maybe as we go. We'll try to get to a few. Otherwise, we will put them up on the website. We're saving all those. We'll answer them, and then that way they're all up there as well. So that's the agenda for tonight. So the quick board introduction. Myself, Paul Overacker, the president. We have Brian Pudge Schaefer is the vice president. We have Stephanie Haight as the past president. Our treasurer is Angie Kruger. Our secretary is Lacey Rector. Coaches coordinator is Dave Anderson. The District 9 representative is Troy Schaefer. Our auxiliary is Ashley McLaren. Our concessions is Angie Helen. Our ice time coordinator is Jason Gabrielson. Our public relations director is Ryan Vossler. Our referee coordinator, Scott McMasters. Our tournament director is Dave Lagerstead. Fundraising coordinator and non-board girls representative is Michaela Austin. Our register is Kylene Schaefer, and webmaster is Jeff McDonald. Just a quick what our levels are for our upcoming season. We have 6U mites, of course, boys and girls. 8U mites, same thing, boys and girls. Squirts 10U, there's a boys and girls team there as well. Pee-wee 12U, and a Bantams 15U. This is just a quick page to show our mindset of practice plans and practice ideas and how to grow and develop our kids. We use the ADM, the American Development Model. We'll have, you can ask any coach, any person at the rink that you see of a coaching that's coaches to give you, if you have any questions on the ADM. It's a USA Hockey just development model. So things that we try to follow with all our levels and all our kids. And yeah, so if you guys get any questions on that, we can answer that anytime as well. So now we'll turn it over.
Dave Anderson, are you on? Okay, I am on, yes. Level coordinators. Basically, we have level coordinators at each level. Basically, the responsibility of that is to communicate with each level to focus in terms of development through coordination of practice plans and ensure each player is developed in similar manner, regardless of ability. Basically, this is just a contact for each level that has multiple teams for your point of contact that can communicate different things that involve both teams that the head coach of each team cannot do. For the mites, we have Kylene Schaefer, Ashley McLaren, and Michaela Austin are going to be at that level. For the squirts, your point of contact is Marty Clennon, and there will be 2 teams there. For the peewees, it'll be Ryan Vossler. He will take the level coordinator for there. In Bantams, we just have 1 team, so that would be Troy Schaefer. For our tryouts, basically, for our team selections and stuff, we will be holding our tryouts on October 19th and 20th. And the squirts will go first. We'll have an 1.5-hour session, which is on the calendar for each one of these. That will be Monday and Tuesday. The judging guidelines that we'll have, we're basically grading them on 5 different things for the skating players, basically skating, hockey sense, shooting, compete, and stick skills. And that's to differentiate for how to place them on which team. Our tryouts are going to be closed this year as they have been in the past, and we will be following up with more information that'll be emailed out on your direction on how we're going to operate that. The timeline for finding out what team your child is placed on after the trial is complete, basically we are going to notify you within 24 hours. The only difference that if we do not, if we have with COVID going on, if we have somebody that gets sick or something like that, we need to have a board meeting on Wednesday, and we will decide if the child made 1 day of tryouts, 2 days of tryouts, if they were able to come at all, reason for sickness, but them details, you can reach out to me if you have any questions. You need to let myself as the coaches coordinator or the president know if your child is sick and will not be able to make tryouts, and we will guide you from there. Besides that, like I said, we'll be sending out a bunch of information before tryouts on some of the details and things for that for your level for squirts and peewees.
Excellent. And then Dave will also have a squirt A and a squirt C and a peewee A and a peewee C team, correct? This year?
Yes. So for the tryout level, for each level, the squirts, Ryan is correct, we'll have a squirt A and we'll have a squirt C team that we will be trying out for. And there's 2 teams at the peewees the same. We'll be playing at the squirt A level and squirt C level for this year's tryouts. Bantams, there's only 1 team. So there's no tryout needed.
Perfect. All right, Kylene.
Hey, Dave. When
Yep.
is the peewee tryout the exact same day as the squirt?
Yes, it is. So each day they're both
Okay.
the peewee tryout and squirts. They're going to follow. We'll have the squirts because they're younger. They will go first.
Sure.
And the peewees will follow up right afterwards, and they will go second. And we will be sending out details on. We'll get into more details later of how to get the numbers, what time to be there. So we'll send that out so we don't have to have everybody listen to all the stuff on there tonight. But we'll be
Okay.
sending that out to reach you. So yes,
No
both will be
problem.
on
You
Monday-
just had mentioned, you were just
Monday and
mentioning
Tuesday.
squirt tryouts, and then you never said anything about the peewees right after. So
Yeah, the peewees will
double-checking.
follow. Sorry, the peewees
Oh.
will follow after the squirts each night. So first it'll be the squirts. We'll go for an 1.5 hours. Then right after that, I'll follow up for the peewee tryout on Monday, and the second day. So it's a 2-day tryout. Squirts and then peewees. Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, so as we start a new hockey season, of course, we just want to inform players and parents just that they need to keep in mind the code of conducts reviewed and they were signed during registration. So in brief, as a parent and a representative of AYH, hockey should be fun for your players. We should act appropriately at games, tournaments, and any AYH event. Parents should never use any abusive behavior or language towards anyone involved in hockey, and adhere to all AYH, District 9, Minnesota Hockey, and USA Hockey rules and regulations. Keeping in mind, if you have a disagreement with a situation that occurred on or off the ice related to AYH, parents agree to adhere to the 24-hour rule and address concerns through the appropriate channels. And then moving on to the player code of conduct. As a player of AYH, we expect players to follow the coach's practice and game policies, including no use of cell phones in locker rooms, be respectful, be loyal to their team and teammates, and act appropriately. In addition, the revised disciplinary guide and policies will be available for reference on the AYH website. A great deal of careful consideration was made when developing the specifics for these. So of course, we all just want the players and parents to keep these in mind, that we are representing AYH and we need to set a good example. So please discuss these terms often with your children and keep them in mind throughout the season. And let's just make it a great one.
Angie?
Hi, this is Angie Kruger. I'm going to talk a little bit about the fees. As you guys know, as you've gone through registration, you had different opportunities to pay for your fees. Some people paid online with a credit card and other people selected the pay offline, whether it be in a one lump sum or in the installments that we could do. We're hoping to maybe avoid a little bit of contact this year. And that's part of the reason why we aren't doing our normal, raffle ticket pickups and that type of thing. We're going to do things a little differently. So if you are paying by check, you can use our PO Box 111 and mail your checks at any time. That would include your checks for your registration fee and then also the deposit check that you're required to put for dibs. We will still be doing dibs this year, but they'll be a little bit different. We're still trying to work out how much and what we can do for the concession stand. So more information will come on that as we start the season. Michaela, do you want to talk about the fundraisers?
Hello, so I'm Michaela. So this year we are doing raffles again. I know a lot of people have reached out wondering why they haven't got them yet, but due to all the changes and stuff that we're currently making with everything, we're just a little bit behind, but they are coming. We are hoping to have them out by the end of this month, and then we're going to give everyone a little bit longer to sell. So we're going to sell through January with having turn-in dates on February 1st and the drawings right after that. This year, our raffle tickets will also have some coupons on them. They'll be similar to the firework raffles that Austin provides out for local businesses in Austin. You are required for your first child to sell 30 tickets, second child 20, and third child 10. With that, we will be doing some other drawings and such for if you sell more. So we'll have kind of top sellers and everything like that past your required raffles. But we will have more information about them coming out. They'll be distributed at practices, and so you'll receive emails and notification on what practice they will come out at.
All right, thank you. Turn on the camera here. All right, then we'll spend a little bit of time talking about our COVID info that we have out there. We published our policy this morning. You can find it on our website, and kind of walking through some of the procedures that will take place. I think the first and foremost is, Paul alluded to at the beginning, our number one goal here is to try to provide some semblance of a good hockey season. In going through a lot of the COVID stuff that USA Hockey and Minnesota Hockey have put together, the one quote that they've talked about is, let's not let hockey in any way, shape, or form be the reason that we would have to suspend or stop youth sports in Minnesota. So the things that we're going to talk about today are our guidelines, and a lot of time and effort has been put forth through a number of the board members and we had a task force, kind of a core task force that would report back to the board. And so that was myself, Lacey Rector, and Dave Anderson, be the point person on the COVID task force. I have my cell phone and contact here, as well as my email. And then we also have an Austin Youth Hockey COVID email. So we're going to walk through our guidelines here. A couple of things to talk about here is, number one, with ice times and everything else, make sure you're checking out the sports engines, the website, and the app, to make sure that if things do change, hopefully you'll get notified, but something may fall through the cracks. So continue to keep that updated. So with that, I'm going to walk through our rink procedures, game procedures, and what happens, with our COVID policy, if there's something that happens, and kind of walk through that. I will say that as we go through this, in our COVID policy, there is, if a player or parent or coach or volunteer does not adhere to our guidelines, that they would be potentially asked to be removed from the rink, and then also that they will not potentially be allowed to participate in future AYH events. I mean, so at the end of the day, we're going to ask for a lot of cooperation and to be patient with us as we work through this. So the first thing is masks. We're requiring masks from any time you walk into that arena. Your player will be required to wear a mask until they put their helmet on. Masks are, an important part of how we prevent the spread of COVID. And until they walk in, until they put their helmet on, they'll need a mask on. All coaches, players, spectators will wear a mask at all time while they're at the rink. And coaches will wear them on the bench and on the ice. And they'll need to be worn properly. So they'll need to be worn covering both their nose and their mouth. So if they're not wearing it correctly, then that would be the same as not wearing a mask. So we're gonna ask that the parents, coaches, and the volunteers lead by example with the masks, and that we don't have to ask people to put masks on. And this is actually a great time. I'm going to flip back here. We are actually having a mask fundraiser. So the mask that you have on here is going to be available for $10 to help support Austin Youth Hockey and support wearing a mask. So those will be available shortly, and we'll have more information out on that. Rink arrival. So we're going to have a couple of check-in processes that we'll have to go through. We've got a quick check-in process, so we'll talk about that, but that's going to involve you doing something at home with a QR code, and I'll walk you through that on the next slide. We are going to have temperatures that will be taken upon arrival. So we've actually got thermometers and stands, and the players will walk up to the thermometer, and their temperature will be taken, and they'll be able to walk in. It won't be like if you've seen if you were to go do a check-in at a doctor's appointment, they do the quick scan with the, I guess, gun-looking thing, for lack of a better term. We actually have stands where nobody will have to do that. Someone will be there to verify, socially distanced, taking their temperature. Again, wearing masks worn till helmet on. Players arrive dressed with the exception of skates and gloves and helmets. So basically, if you're coming in, there'll be spots designated for them to come in. They'll be 6 feet apart, put their skates, their helmets, their masks on, and go. The only exceptions of that are for goalies who obviously take time and trying to get goalie pads on. Walking even through the front doors of some of the arenas could be a challenge. So they'll be able to get dressed there. At this point in time, participants are allowed to bring their hockey bag. That is subject to change, as everything is subject to change. This is going to be our quick check-in process. This will have one for each level. So before you arrive at the rink, what you'll do is you'll take your smartphone and you'll scan the QR code, and it'll walk you through a number of questions. So it'll walk you through basically your name, and it'll ask for your player's name and if they've had any symptoms. And if it's going to be for a game, then it'll ask you if you've had any symptoms. This is something that we have to do for contract tracing. So we will be doing this before every practice. How this will be monitored is each team will have a COVID manager, and they'll be helping responsible for making sure that everybody's filled in the proper contract tracing stuff before they arrive at the rink. So there is going to be a little bit more complexity and some things that we need to do before we start. But if we do this before we get there and we take our temperatures, we should eliminate a lot of the other stuff we have to do and get us on the ice quicker. Additional procedures: players need to bring their own water bottles, use the restroom at home, no sharing of water bottles, no spitting or anything like that within the rink. At this time, locker rooms are not going to be available. That is subject to change, and that potentially could change here. But right now, that we're not going to use locker rooms. Off ice and dry land and pregame warmups, nothing in the arena. Everything needs to be conducted outside and utilizing social distancing. And then if you want to do like a team meeting or chalk talk or anything like that, that'll need to be done via a Zoom platform or a similar platform like Google Hangouts or Microsoft Teams. Practices. All practices are going to look a little different. Activity is going to be limited to 2 groups of 25 pods, we're going to call them. That includes coaches. So what will happen is, and especially after we get after tryouts, we'll create pods, and basically that pod of coaches and players will stay together in practice. We won't have coaches necessarily going between pods and levels, because that would happen if somebody was exposed and then let's say the Squirt A team had to take 14 days off. If they were also involved with the Squirt C team, then the Squirt C team would also have to take that time off. So we're trying to eliminate that and focusing that in on the pods. Players don't come to the building 15 minutes before ice and also leave there after. Players age 10 and under, you can each have a parent or guardian there, but they got to exit immediately after practice and avoid players lingering around the facility. One cool thing that we're going to do, and Jeff McDonald and Dave Lagerstaff have been very instrumental in getting this done, is called Live Barn. And so what Live Barn is it's going in next week, and it will be available. It's a web service where you can go in and you can watch practices, games, and everything on your phone or your smart device. So this will be something that's new and different. Pretty exciting to be able to do this. I've used this before in other facilities across Minnesota, and it works pretty well, and gives everybody an opportunity to watch both practices and games in a good environment. And we'll talk about games here next. Basically, the games and spectators, all the guidelines are going to be determined by each rink and facility. So we've worked with Park and Rec. Riverside can have a maximum of 250 people, not including players, coaches, or officials. Packer has a maximum of 50 people. So that's where that could be a challenge on game day, which is why we have the backup of Live Barn, so that if you want to have a number of extended family watch the games, they'll have that ability through Live Barn. It's going to be up to the COVID team manager that we've talked about to help parents understand and follow the guidelines and in place, not only at our arena, but also at other arenas. And then the other policy that we have is if there are siblings involved, please make sure that they are seated with their parent guardians, and that they are not allowed to roam around the rink. So if something happens and we do have potential for a sick player, again, we will have a COVID manager that will work together on that team. If a player or coach on that team tests positive, or that they've had within the last 14 days, we'll notify and go through the Minnesota Department of Health. If for some reason they arrive at a temperature, whether it's COVID or not, they will not be allowed in the rink, and they will be calling in a supervising adult following both safe sport and social distancing policy to come get them back at the rink. And if a player, coach, or parent is symptomatic and has taken a test, so if you've taken a test, it is expected that you are removed from team activities until that result is obtained. If a player tests positive for COVID, the family must report the COVID test immediately to AYH, and AYH will report the case to the Minnesota MDH and local health officials. We will then identify and contact those who have been in close contact with that player, and we'll follow up immediately with those on the contact list. Team activities will be paused until local health officials and the Minnesota Department of Health is consulted. If it's a positive case is revealed on a team of an opponent, it's expected that the team monitor their health and temperatures very closely for 14 days. And then prior to the start of the season, all coaches and team managers will be trained on how to handle COVID-related emergencies per Minnesota hockey guidelines. The other thing is that we will not be penalized, or teams will not be penalized if we have to forfeit games or do something or reschedule based on COVID-19 concerns. Family and house members. If your team and association or COVID-19, have a player testing positive, someone in your household, and has been exposed, after a positive test, you have to stay at home for 10 days since symptoms first appeared, or until there's no fever for at least 3 days without medication and improvement of other symptoms. Siblings and household members should only stay home for 14 days and follow the Minnesota Department of Health decision tree on when to return. And that's what we're going to follow. So you'll see is, and if you Google it, the Minnesota Department of Health decision tree, it walks you through when you can return and what to do if you were exposed, if you were, you took a test, but then the test was negative and you had a fever, and when you can return. So that's what we're going to be following from how we approach and have these cases come up. There's going to be stuff that comes up this year. And I think the one thing we're going to ask everybody is to be flexible and help us work through it, because there's a lot of unknowns out here as we go into the season, but we're pretty excited to the fact that we're able to be able to bring the season to everybody. And then last part of this is our refund policy. At the end of this, so the registration fee will be at the end of the season. The amount of ice held will be evaluated and compared to what the total hours of a normal season are. If we're able to have a full season of hours, then we will, we'll continue, then we won't refund it. But if we can't, then it'll be prorated. It could be something, let's just say that all of a sudden in January, we have to pause for 2 weeks, right? But we're still able to complete the season, just may push back a couple weeks. So in that case, we would have completed the season and there would be no refund. But if we had to just shut everything down at the end of December, then, then we would refund based on the amount of ice that we had. And then the raffle tickets will be held as scheduled. And that's a really important fundraiser as we continue to help keep our costs of Austin Youth Hockey down. So that was a lot of information. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Paul. Or Pudge. Paul, you're on mute.
Paul, you're muted.
Not no more. Yeah, so thank you guys for everybody that all their extra efforts in this Zoom meeting turned out great. Remember, if you guys have any questions, feel free to at any point in time in the season as well, you can call any board member as well, email, all those different sources. See us at the rink a little bit. Yeah, obviously it'll be a little different this year, but thanks to everybody for all their patience, and we'll be working hard. Our meetings have been going really late as of late with all this extra stuff and all the extra planning. So thanks for everybody involved, and and looking forward to getting this season going. So keep an eye on your schedules and calendars, all those things to pop up. Sports Engine, like Ryan said. If you're having issues with the website calendar, remember to clear your tags from last year and pick the new tags from this year. And
Hey, Paul, can I hop in when you're done?
for sure.
Okay. We have a couple questions in the chat that I want to make sure that we try to answer for everyone. The first one is, everyone is wondering where they will find the QR code for the check-in.
So
Ryan?
that will be sent out. It'll be in a couple of places. I'll be putting those together and sending those out to each one of the level coordinators. And then they will also be at the rink. So if you forget, then we'll have them at the rink as well.
Thank you, Ryan. Another question that we have is regarding the A and C teams at the squirt level. They're asking, due to registration numbers, will there be cuts to keep numbers down? I don't know who wants to answer this, but I mean, typically we do not cut people at all. Everyone will make one or the other team. There won't be any cuts. If that does not answer the question, feel free to maybe unmute and ask it in a different way since we have some extra time. Or if that answered that, then.
No, yeah, and that's from Mark. Mark, yeah, I mean, that's the thing about hockey. We always make sure and find a place for everybody to play. Are there any other questions?
Is there any other questions out there?
While we're all here with some extra time?
So those are the only questions so far. So we can stay on for a little bit in case anyone's just.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, give it a couple minutes. If anybody's got anything, feel free to, just like they said, unmute. If you're new to the Zoom thing, just touch the screen and there's probably a mute button. Oh, there's one from Amy.
Just to clarify, Ryan, are we using the QR code before every practice and game?
Yes.
Yes. Will first year squirts automatically be placed on the C team like last year? So the way our policy reads is that if you move up if you do an early move up, then you cannot make the top team. As of now, there aren't any early move ups, so all squirts will try out. Is that correct, Ryan? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep.
There weren't any. Okay.
Nope, you're right.
You're right.
Mandy, I'm answering your question. So schedules, it's about when will schedules be posted. Schedules for all traveling teams, which means squirt to bantam, are posted. The first day of mites will be November 7th. Everything's kind of 1 week later than normal this year with COVID. Another question about the numbers of players per level. Kylene, I don't know if you have these numbers. I do not have them on me. One more question. Does anyone know anything about the Bantam VFW requirement? Christy, are you talking about bingo?
Yes.
At this time, I don't know that we know that just yet. I don't know what their COVID policy is and if they're doing bingo. I think that'll be something that we communicate to Troy as soon as we know, and he will let the Bantam families know. I hope that helps a little bit. Will information about checking in and the QR code be on the website? Ryan, yes?
Yeah, we could put that on the website. It's a good idea, Pete. We'll do that as we'll make sure it's on there as well.
Yeah, Lacey, in reference to the numbers of players, specifically for the squirts right now, we're sitting at 23. And then for the Pee-wees, 32, one team as mentioned for Bantams. And then of course, mites, I believe we're sitting right around 75.
So we had a couple other great questions. One from Emily: what days of the week will 8U practice? We discussed this a little bit last night. I don't know if anyone else wants to speak on it that knows more. Jason was unable to attend tonight, I think, so.
Last night it was discussed that the mites,
Oh, go ahead, Ashley, thank you.
last night it was discussed that the mites would be practicing on Tuesday and Thursday evenings and then Saturday mornings.
Thank you. I did get another question. Are we still playing District 9 teams? How far will we be traveling for tournaments? The answer to that is yes, Austin is still in District 9. We have not made any changes to that. Right now, we have all teams registered for one away tournament that is in driving distance, so you don't have to stay in a hotel. And then the other one is the home tournament, and that'll be evaluated as, you know, COVID changes. Another question about the evaluators for tryouts. Dave or Ryan, do you want to list the evaluators for tryouts?
I can. So for tryouts, who we have is we have Jason Merritt, Steve Howard, the head Bruins coach, and we have Mike Noterman. He is the coach of the 16U and 18U Bruins team that they have, and Mike is a native of Austin, played Austin youth hockey years ago, and he played at college and junior levels.
Thanks, Dave. Another one, do you know who the coaches are at each level? So last night we approved general coaches, just who had turned in their app. We have not done a vote or discussion of head coaches at the
Yeah, we
at
won't do
each
head
level.
coaches until the teams are determined.
Another question, why are the evaluators not independent? So none of the evaluators are directly, I guess, related to AYH. None of them have players on AYH. None of them coach for AYH. So I'm not sure what the conflict of interest would be. Feel free to share more. There might just be something I'm not understanding. Brandy says, if you look at the calendar, it doesn't give an option for the 2020-2021 season. Kylene, can you answer that? I think it has something to do with our rostering.
Yeah, we have to use last year's tags until we actually roster all of our players.
Thank you, Kylene. Let's see. Good question, Brent. What days are the 6U's playing? Ashley, did you make note of that last night?
Last night he just said Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and it was not officially decided whether 6U would do one day less and do the 2 days a week or if they would be 3 days. So that is still undetermined at this point.
Thank you, Ashley. Quick question about the raffle tickets. Raffle tickets will probably be something you pick up at a practice. Pete, I hope that helps. We will not be mailing out raffle tickets.
Lacey, can I jump in quick on the scheduling?
Absolutely.
So just so everyone understands, there's a lot of moving parts for our ice scheduling. So remember that Austin Bruins, Austin Boys High School, Austin Girls Hockey have priority over youth hockey. In addition, figure skating also has set times on Sundays. So we have to be, Austin Youth Hockey has to be the most flexible. And Jason has a very difficult job in juggling all of these different schedules, many of which aren't set yet. So again, back to Ryan's points before, we are going to have to be flexible this year. Practices may not be consistent on the same days. We may be, alternating and shifting. And if we end up in a situation where Bruins or high school have to reschedule games, we may get bumped. So just keep an eye on those calendars. Once the teams are registered, i.e. after tryouts, then the teams get registered. Those tags will be current. Make sure that you've got your tags updated so you get notifications, and just be checking it frequently, because I think it will be a season where things will ebb and flow throughout the year.
Thank you, Steph. That's a great reminder. Another question, Angie, I think this one might be for you. Yes, mites will not have to pay a registration fee this year. Can you remind them what the 8U fee was so they can deduct from their payment? Angie, I think you kind of had a plan of what you were going to do with the families. Do you want to share a
Right.
little
So
bit?
if somebody paid by credit card already online, I'll be working with them to get that refund. If you were doing a payment offline, the best thing to do is to look back in your account, because it depends if you got the early bird discount or not. And it depends if you have any kind of multi-child discounts that were applied. So if you have any questions, let's just talk offline. If you want to contact me directly, my phone number or a link to my email is on our website under the board link. And you can double check with me what the amount is.
Thank you, Angie. Another question, which calendar is more consistent, the website or the Sports Engine app? As far as I know, and Kylene, you can correct me if I'm wrong, they are directly related. When one changes, the other changes, like they're connected, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Another question, will dibs be loaded on website same as last year? What if the season is down? Will you be refunded if you buy out? So yeah, dibs are going to look different this year. As you know, yesterday, high school could not have participants or spectators in the arena, and today they can. So that obviously changes what we had maybe planned yesterday. So we're going to look at it as a board and let everybody know, but there will be some sort of commitment. We still plan on loading them in the website, same as every year. Angie, do you know if say we have to end this season in November, December, will there be a prorated refund if you buy out?
We didn't discuss that yet at any of our meetings, so that's definitely something that we would look at. It probably would depend how close. For example, if we end up determining that people only needed 6 hours instead of 12, then I suspect we would have a reduced buyout price. So again, that'll go along with the same as the regular refund policy. We'll have to see what, if anything, had to be prorated. There will be some additional things this year that we can get dibs credit for, such as monitoring the thermometer and that type of thing. So we don't quite know exactly what type of hours will be out there. So it will be a little bit of a work in process as well.
Thank you, Angie. So Brandy asked a great question. Is the squirt practice on Saturday for previous squirts or all including new ones? So the practices that start on Saturday are for all registered squirts for the 2020-2021 season. So if you registered as a squirt this year or were an automatic move up because of your birthday, then the practice is for you. I hope that helps, Brandy.
And Lacey, this is Steph Haight. I'm going to add to that. The key is you have to be registered. The USA Hockey insurance does not cover anyone who has not registered. So if we have families that are listening and maybe haven't registered because of financial reasons, please reach out to a member of the board. We have funding available to help those families so that our players are not missing out because of financial circumstances that are occurring right now. So please reach out to us. We're here to help if you do need that. And then secondly, we've had a lot of talk about mites for free. I want our families to understand that when the decision was made prior to registration, we had no idea what our fundraising would look like. And to a phenomenal golf committee, and thank you, Andy Bang, for putting it all together for us, we were able to raise enough funds to allow our mites to go free again this year. Understand we had to be fiscally responsible, and in August, it looked like the tournament may not happen. And since it did happen a few weeks ago, it was a success. We were able to provide this yet again. So thank you for everyone. But I also want the families to understand the decision-making and how we got to where we are today.
Thank you, Steph. That's a really great reminder. Another question from Mandy. This is a really great question, Mandy. Thanks for asking. Will there be a way for Mite families to get raffle tickets before they start practice on November 7th? And I would say that, yeah, absolutely. I think Michaela is willing to be flexible and get raffle tickets to anyone who wants them early. So great question, Mandy. Let's see. So I'm not seeing any more questions. If I missed a question, a lot came in right at once. So if I missed your question, I apologize. Feel free to unmute and ask. We have about, I would say, 10 more minutes if needed to answer questions. Otherwise, we'll probably end the meeting about 7. Unless any other board member has something to add or clarify, feel free to jump in.
Do we have a number on how many girls are playing this year?
Kylene, can you help me answer that?
Yep, for 10U, we have 13.
Thank you.
Tracy, as long as there's a lull, this is Steph Haight. I'm going to jump in quickly with a new rule that went into effect with Minnesota hockey this year, just to educate our families. That new rule is there's no artificial noisemakers in any arena, whether it's at home or traveling, which means no whistles, no blow horns, no cowbells, the like this year. So making sure everyone is aware of that rule.
Thank you, Steph. That is a good reminder. Amy sent a really nice message. Thank you, Amy. It just says, thank you all for everything you have done so far to make sure our children get to play hockey. So thank you, board members. Thanks for the shout out, Amy.
Yeah, thanks, Amy.
Thank you.
Here's a question from Bob Pepper. Does Dave Lagerstead have the tournament scheduled yet? We know the dates of the home tournaments, but as far as like a game schedule, we do not have. Is that correct, Ryan?
Correct.
I don't know. Okay, yep. So the dates for the home tournaments are up on the website, but we do not have a game schedule yet. Just the dates of the actual tournaments.
Maybe Dave Anderson wants to let everyone know when the scheduling meetings are. I don't have them in front of me.
I don't have them in front of me. I just know for the Pee-wees, they will be scheduled on November 18th. That we'll have for that. And I think it's like November 2nd for the squirts and the 10U for scheduling them, but I'm not positive on that. I don't have that in front of me either right now.
So I did just get another question. Curious about board meeting minutes uploaded. The last entry was 2017. So we did have them all uploaded, and then at the end of the season last year, we had some issue with some of the dibs and some of the other stuff. And now we actually have a webmaster that is pretty on point. We will be updating our website with all of that stuff here shortly. So hopefully that helps answer your question, Tennille.
Quick question on dibs from last year. If we weren't able to complete our dibs that we'd signed up for, can we make that up this year?
Great question. I don't know who wants to tackle that. We've discussed several ways to move forward with that. Angie, did you want to jump in? So that's a really great question. We've talked about just letting people make it up this year. We haven't come to a full decision on that, but it'll probably be that, yes. I don't know if Angie jumped off or not.
No, I'm
Okay,
just
thank
having
you.
technical difficulties getting off the chat screen. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, we've had a few conversations about it at board meetings, and you know, it's just really difficult. Like Lacey said, we did have some issues with our website, pulling information, and then the fact that we were, you know, our season was abruptly ended. I know Angie Helland has the information. She wasn't able to be on tonight, but we'll be trying to figure out something to, you know, roll into this year in those same conversations with trying to figure out what our hours actually look like this year. We'll also take into consideration, you know, what people did last year. So it might almost be like a combined 2-year, you know, viewing period or something. We're still trying to figure that out, knowing that, you know, so if you did get them all in last year, you know, you're probably in good shape going into this year. If you didn't get to do them last year, you know, it might be good to try to sign up, you know, early for some of the things that we do have. Lacey, I don't know if you wanted to talk briefly about the Bruins opportunities this weekend.
Yeah, so this weekend, the Bruins have a preseason game on Friday and Saturday. We're going to try a trial run in the concession stand and see how that goes. We'll probably only be able to have 3 people in the concession stand at a time. And we will also have to wear masks and gloves and have a limited menu. So if anyone is interested in working one or both of the Bruins games this weekend, please let me know. I'll put my email and my phone number in the chat if anyone is interested. That would be great. The game on Friday is at 7:05, and then the game on Saturday is at 2. Oh, it looks like we have Jen signed up. All right, Jen. Thank you.
There's also a question, Lacey, about home tournaments and regards to if working home tournaments versus dibs. And home tournaments are worked by that level. So if it's like the Pee Wee tournament, there'll be an A and, you know, A, B, and C, but they'll be required. I mean, parents will be required of the Pee Wee teams to cover, you know, the concessions, the scorebook, and everything along those lines.
Thanks, Ryan. We did have a quick question. Let me see, where did it go? It asked, so Tennille asked a question about coaches required to do dibs. At this time, everyone signed a concession agreement that is exactly what you sign every year, every meeting, every day, every time a guideline changes. We are looking at dibs versus how many hours we can offer and how many players and parents and kids. So just know that as of now, it's still the 12 hours, and we'll reevaluate that as it goes. Also, Ashley, thanks for the reminder. Warm-ups and apparel through games and South Central are available. We're going to get that emailed out, and order forms will also be available at practices. So Ashley is our auxiliary. So thank you, Ashley, for putting that together. So I would say we got about 2 minutes in case there's any other questions. Otherwise, we'll end the meeting and it'll be uploaded so we can share. All the questions are saved. So if we need to go back and reevaluate or if we missed a question, I apologize. A lot came in kind of at once.
Yeah, I think just once again, thanks everybody for all the hard work from all the ends. Thank you all your parents for registering once again, and we'll try to do our best. We'll do our best to make this as normal as we can, and get our kids on the ice having some fun. So that's the name of the game. So if anybody has anything, and you feel free to type it in quick, fast, or give any one of the board members a question or a call. Talk to us at the rink. Otherwise, I think we can wrap this thing up. So thanks a lot, everybody. Everybody have a good night. Thanks for all the hard work.
Hey,
Yep,
Paul,
go ahead.
another thing I'd just like to say, hey, if we always need more volunteers, and it, like Paul said, it's we're having us all work together. It takes a village, especially this year. So if you've ever had any interest in coaching or getting involved, please reach out to us.